Hello, friends. This is Confessions with Amy, and I'm glad you're visiting my channel. Here we share new confessions every day.
My name is Marissa Clayton. I'm 45, a senior financial analyst with a taste for black coffee, clean spreadsheets, and ocean air. For the past 6 years, I've been managing multi-million-dollar portfolios and helping companies prepare for what they don't see coming. Funny, isn't it? That I didn't see this coming either. I was in San Francisco that morning, a Tuesday, for a 3-day strategy summit with our West Coast partners. The view from my 14th floor hotel room overlooked the bay, gray and calm like it always is before a storm. I had just wrapped up a panel on risk mitigation and returned to my room to freshen up before dinner when my phone buzzed. At first, I thought it was a meeting reminder, maybe something from the team in New York. But instead, it was from Jason. We'd been married 20 years. I'm leaving. I sold the beach house. Don't call me. Just like that. No lead-in, no apology. My first instinct was silence. I stared at the screen for a long minute, rereading the message like it might change if I gave it time. Then I typed 2 words. I understand. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the phone or collapse to the floor like women do in movies. I just stood still, like the breath had been knocked out of me. But my spine knew what to do. It held me up. I walked to the minibar, poured myself a glass of water, and sat at the small desk near the window. The sound of traffic below, the distant hum of foghorns, even the whisper of the air vent. Everything felt sharper, more present. That night, I canceled dinner. Not because I was heartbroken, not yet at least, but because I needed to think. Not about Jason. About the house. The beach house in Carmel. The one we used to escape to in the summers. Where he proposed. Where we argued over paint colors and made up with wine and laughter. That house had always been his pride, and now he thought he had taken it from me. But he hadn't, because I had already taken care of that. The morning after Jason's message, I woke up in that same hotel room, wrapped in a stiff white robe in silence. The city was still asleep, but my mind was already moving, clear, focused. Not on heartbreak, on logistics. You see, Jason never quite grasped the details. That was always my domain. He loved making grand gestures, buying houses, booking vacations, announcing plans at dinner parties. But the paperwork, the contracts, the names on the deeds and the silent mechanics of ownership, those were things he never bothered to understand. Which is why, years ago, after his second impulsive business investment nearly cost us our retirement, I met with a lawyer. Quietly. Discreetly. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it to protect us. Or, at the time, what I thought was us. The beach house in Carmel had been purchased with my bonus after a long and brutal merger project. Jason had picked the place. I had signed the dotted line. What he never realized was that I had placed the house under a living trust, solely in my name. Not to hide it from him, just had to keep it safe. 3 years later, when I realized he had quietly opened a line of credit against our joint account to fund a tech startup his cousin pitched him, I knew I'd done the right thing. That morning in San Francisco, while Jason likely celebrated his newfound freedom with someone half my age, I texted my lawyer, Dana Klein. Activate Clause C, please. He thinks he sold the beach house. It didn't take long for Dana to respond. Already flagged with the title office. No legal transfer took place. I'll notify escrow to freeze any movement. I smiled to myself, not out of malice, but satisfaction. Like someone who'd set the chessboard 3 years ago, and just now watched a move fall perfectly into place. That same afternoon, I attended the rest of the conference panels, shook hands, laughed at jokes, accepted compliments. No one knew that 20 years of marriage had been discarded via text. No one knew that while my soon-to-be ex-husband thought he was clever, I had already sealed every exit. I flew back to New York the next day, walked into my apartment, watered the plants, and opened a bottle of Malbec. Not to drown anything, just to toast myself. Jason hadn't just underestimated me. He had forgotten who built the life he was trying to escape from. Back in New York, I tried to keep my focus on work, but Jason's message lingered like a shadow I couldn't shake. I wasn't naive. I knew his kind of betrayal could come with financial consequences. So I spent the next morning on a call with my financial advisor, making sure everything was in order. Everything was. I thought about the beach house, my sanctuary for so many summers, and the message that he'd already sold it without telling me. What a fool. I called Dana again. Have you heard anything from escrow? Any strange activity? No, nothing moved. The buyer's attorney is stumped. The sale never officially started, she replied. I felt a quiet relief but kept my calm. There was no joy in seeing him caught. It was about survival. That evening, Jason texted me again. We need to talk. You don't know what you're doing. I didn't respond. The next day, I found a voicemail. Marissa, please, we can fix this. I'm sorry. Let's meet. I deleted it. It wasn't about regret. It was about boundaries. I was done living in his shadow. For years, I'd built a career, a life, and yes, even protected his reckless whims. But this time, I stood alone, not because I was weak, but because I was strong enough to say no. Days turned into weeks, and I finally felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The dust was settling, and I realized just how much strength it took to stand firm in the face of betrayal. I had survived not only the emotional upheaval, but the practical threats to everything I had built. At work, I poured my energy into projects that mattered, proving to myself, and maybe to others, that my worth wasn't tied to a man's decisions or material possessions. My colleagues noticed my renewed focus and resilience, and for the first time in a long time, I felt respected on my own terms. Meanwhile, Jason's messages slowed and then stopped altogether. I knew he was struggling, trying to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't the woman who would beg or bargain. I had already planned for his departure long before that text. I had safeguards in place, legal protections, separate accounts, a financial advisor who kept me informed and ready for anything. One afternoon, Dana called. Marissa, you won't believe this, she said with a chuckle. Jason's been trying to access the beach house files again. It's locked down tight. He's got no way to touch it. I smiled, feeling a mix of satisfaction and relief. This wasn't about revenge. It was about justice and self-respect. I sat on my balcony that evening, the city skyline glowing beneath me, a glass of wine in hand. I was free, financially secure and emotionally whole. The past no longer chained me. And as the sun set, I realized that the best was still ahead. After the storm of betrayal and chaos, life settled into a new rhythm, one that I shaped entirely on my own terms. The shock of Jason's departure had faded, replaced by clarity and focus. I spent mornings walking along the beach near the house I still owned, feeling the salty breeze remind me of freedom and fresh starts. Work became my sanctuary. I took on new challenges with vigor, leading projects that reflected my true passion and skills. My team respected me for my resilience and vision. I was no longer defined by someone else's decisions or the shadow of loss. I was a leader, a survivor, and a woman reclaiming her story. Financially, I was secure. The safeguards I had put in place proved vital. Every move Jason made to unravel what I'd built was met with a solid barrier. I had smart lawyers and advisors who ensured nothing slipped through the cracks. My assets were protected, and I had enough to live comfortably and confidently. More than that, I rediscovered myself. I reconnected with old friends, started new hobbies, and even took a spontaneous trip to Italy, something I'd dreamed of for years but never prioritized. Each experience was a reminder. I am not just a wife or an employee, I am my own person, with dreams and worth beyond any relationship. Meanwhile, whispers about Jason's regrets reached me through mutual friends. He realized too late that he had lost more than a house or money. He lost me, a partner who had stood strong when it mattered most. But I didn't look back. Instead, I looked ahead, with a heart full of hope and hands ready to build the future I deserved. The morning after everything fell apart, I woke up to the calm sound of waves crashing against the shore. My phone buzzed relentlessly, but I didn't recognize the numbers. It was Jason. Over and over, he called and messaged, desperation clear in every attempt. He wanted to undo the damage, to come back and fix what he'd broken. But it was too late. Jason's recklessness had cost him dearly. The beach house he sold without my knowledge? Gone. The money he transferred? Frozen by the legal protections I had in place. Every step he took to try to reclaim control only reminded him that I had been one step ahead the entire time. I read his messages, the apologies, the pleas for a second chance, but I felt nothing but quiet strength. I replied simply, "I'm living my truth now. I hope you find your peace." The freedom I fought for was mine, and I embraced it fully. I knew that healing wasn't about revenge or bitterness. It was about reclaiming joy, independence, and the power to shape my own life. I stepped outside onto my balcony, breathed in the salty ocean air, and smiled. This was my new beginning.